covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We certainly appreciate you spending part of your day with us. What do you think we're going to talk about on this edition of the Means Report? Of course, we're leading off with the recent approval of the sales tax to pay for a new James Brown Arena. We're going to find out all about that vote and what happens next. Now that the voting has concluded, when do we break ground? When can we go to shows at that thing? Also ahead, did you know it is never too late to get your degree? We're going to cover adult education and the awesome programs going on at Augusta Technical College and find out how you can get your GED or other form of high school equivalency and move on with your life. You're going to love hearing about what's happening at ATC. And we'll always show you how to stay in touch with the Means Report. It's easy, and that comes at the end of our show, so stick around for that so you can have input on future editions of the Means Report. But first, it is so exciting to welcome back, especially during this time of Augusta's life, the 7th District Commissioner on the Augusta Commission, Sean Frantom, by Jarrett, our director's count. Mr. Frantom's third appearance on the Means Report in the past couple of months. So thank you, and it is exciting. Congratulations on the passage of the referendum.
Absolutely, it's a huge community win. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to talk about it.
No, me too. And I'll ask you some questions that I'm sure you've been asked a million times, but I want to walk everybody through this so we understand the process. First, going back to Tuesday night, this tax that voters approved, this half-cent increase in the sales tax, passed by about 2/3. Were you surprised by that margin?
I was surprised by the voter turnout on the day of the election. I think when you look at the voter turnout, almost 10% on the day of the election, I think that's why you saw the margin so high. It's because I think people got fired up. I think the avalanche of the message got hit at the right moment and peaked, and it was significant in making a 2/3 win.
Did you approach this, you, not Sean Frantom, but you, the pro-arena folks, differently than you did the last time around? The last time we voted on this, everybody, was a referendum to raise our property taxes to pay for a new James Brown Arena. That failed. This did not. Did y'all push it in a different way?
I mean, they obviously put the literature together. They hired a consultant. The Coliseum Authority did a great job of the different mailers, the text messaging, the messaging. But I think the one mailer I think that really got the people, though, is when they said that the money was going straight to the project and the commission was not touching the money.
Yeah, it was.
I think because so many people think that, we're going to be involved in this process and we're going to be able to take some of the government's going to get a piece of the pie, let's say.
Right.
And when people realize that, I think they opened up to the fact that, though I don't like a tax increase, it benefits the community and it's such a huge economic driver for the future of our community.
So this arena is going to cost about $250 million. If I'm hearing you correctly, the Coliseum Authority in Augusta-Richmond County controls how to spend it?
They did. They put this whole conservatively together with the bonds and everything. That it's very confident. I'm very confident in what they put together. I mean, they've been working on this for 10 years. They got it wrong a few times, but they came to the table with a solution that truly the people embraced. I mean, in my district that is conservative, every district was yes votes in my district, and one was tied. I mean, that speaks to the volume that the people were like, okay, we see the benefit. We see the fact that 40% from outside of Richmond County is paying for it, and we see the fact that for our kids, the future, it's going to be bright to have a huge new James Brown Arena to go to shows, to graduate in. It's going to benefit all.
Okay, so how does this work when it's time to pay the bills? Okay, so an architect, let's say, designs the James Brown Arena, and I think that's already happened or it will soon.
Yep.
And he or she says, you owe me X amount of dollars for doing this design work. Who writes that check?
The Coliseum Authority through their management team and that thing. The money goes to the city, but it's a direct allocation to them. How that all works out, I'm not real sure.
Wait a second. The money goes through the city?
City, but we can't touch it.
Wait a minute.
I know, everybody, but that's the way it works. I mean, the attorneys just told me that an hour ago, actually, because I want to make sure I told the people the right way. But as far as the commission cannot touch it, I feel confident based on talking to the Coliseum Authority, they're not going to come back for more money. The parking issue that people want to talk about, they've got a solution for that.
What is it, a deck or something?
No, but they've already acquired some property, and there's property around there they're also going to acquire. They also are looking at shuttles. I mean, we have parking decks that aren't utilized. They're looking at shuttles once we open this arena, and I feel confident that the parking issue is not one that's going to be a big issue once the arena opens.
When does this tax kick in?
April 1st of 2024.
That's when things slightly increase. And explain how much of an increase it would be.
So if you spend $100, it'll go from $108 sales tax to $108.50. So 50 cents on $100.
Okay.
Doesn't affect groceries or medicine.
Mm-hmm. What about the 40% thing that you just mentioned? How can you calculate what our out-of-town guests will shoulder when it comes to this burden?
Well, I think that's an estimate. I think when you host the biggest sporting event in the world, and sales tax revenue coming in off that, that's a significant piece of what comes in from outside.
Right.
But as we continue to grow and downtown continues to thrive, we get the TIA project done, I mean, I think that number is going to be increased. Again, I feel like the one thing the Coliseum Authority did smart is they were very conservative in what they put out messaging. I think there's probably more jobs, the economic impact's more than what they made, but they didn't want to, mislead the voters. They wanted to be conservative and hit numbers that they felt confident in.
I was confused when I read the question on the ballot because it said something about 400 and something million, and then it said the 240 something for the JBA.
Yeah, that includes the interest in bonds. Interest in bonds over the life of it.
Over the life of it. When does it, to use an official term, sunset? When's this tax disappear?
Yeah, once it's paid. I think the estimate is 16 to 18 years, but obviously if Augusta thrives a little bit quicker, it could be quicker. If we have a downturn, it could take a little bit longer than that. You make your bonds a little bit past that just because you're going to have successful years, you're going to have bad years in a sense. We hope we don't go through another pandemic. But again, with the numbers, the project, everything they put together so far from a Coliseum Authority, it's very conservative, and I'm very confident that we're going to get this done without coming back in a splosh for additional money or anything that we typically would do in Augusta, Richmond County.
When do we break ground, and will the current building be demolished?
Yeah, so one of the great things, if you haven't seen the Bell Auditorium, is moving along at rapid pace. I think it's going to open in May. One of the reasons where people say, well, why did they build it in the same location? Why do they got to tear it down? We're not going to have an arena for 3 years. Well, the synergies they're going to have between a new Bell connecting with the new James Brown Arena, the ability to host conferences and host some things between. You'll have one box office for both venues. It creates great synergies for downtown. It's going to be amazing if a show's going into each venue at the same time, what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
But that's the reason. So you do have to demolish it because there will be no underground anymore. It's all going to be above ground, about 10 stories high. So it's going to change the eye level of Augusta to see that arena.
Yeah, it'll be different when you just kind of get an overview of the entire city. How does a new arena benefit a town? Okay, because some people may picture going to a concert at this fancy new building and returning to their homes. The performer benefits, the venue benefits, but how's our town get hooked up?
Well, I mean, you speak to Savannah, they got this new in-market arena. Ours is going to be bigger and better than their arena. They just hosted Dave Matthews this week. They hosted Janet Jackson recently. Acts go on and on. When you look at the Eagles, when you look at people travel to those arenas for those shows and spend money. I mean, when you have things going on downtown, all the restaurants are full, they're eating, the tax dollars are going up because they're eating in these restaurants, people are benefiting from it. I think it's going to create a lot of synergies for people that want to eat and play and live, as well as recruit. I mean, when you look at companies, they're looking at what we have in this community to offer quality of life. This is going to be a huge quality of life aspect for this region to grab hold of.
Will it still be called the James Brown Arena?
Yeah, I think so. I've been told there's naming rights opportunities that are going to come with that. Obviously, the Coliseum would speak on that, but I think James Brown has to be a part of the name based on the history of what's happened in the past.
Yeah, I hope so. So, I mean, if it was, let's say AT&T got naming rights, it would be the James Brown AT&T Arena?
I'd assume that would be something that could be.
Like that,
yep.
Okay. But the Godfather's name, we certainly hope stays. Do you think new businesses will come downtown to that section of downtown and to all of that business district because they say, look, folks, as you mentioned, are coming down here and getting entertained and eating. We need to open our store here.
I think so. I think, we still have the hockey discussion that's not finalized yet, but I feel very confident. I think when you look at that arena, the Bell's the busiest arena in the state of Georgia outside of Atlanta, and then you throw a James Brown Arena that can bring bigger and better acts, circus that we can't even host because of the rigging currently. I think that you're going to see a downtown. We got a lot of new apartments going up downtown.
Yeah, tons.
And there's just this energy about downtown that I think it'll benefit everyone.
Yeah, somebody was saying that a performer recently played a song at the James Brown Arena, finished it, and then said, y'all should hear the version of that song that I can do if you had better rigging. Yeah. What's rigging? The stuff in the ceiling?
Yeah, it's weight. I mean, it can only hold, the speakers that come down.
Okay.
It's only so much poundage can be held on that, or they would collapse in a sense. So this will be able to hold any shows, and the shows are endless. I mean, yeah, Taylor Swift's not going to play maybe at a 10,000 seat arena, but when you look at what Enmark's been able to bring, what I just mentioned, I mean, those are some big acts that Augusta's going to have those acts, because Oakview, who manages Savannah, manages the Augusta James Brown Arena. So the synergy's there, the ability to bring some acts through Live Nation. It's going to be great for Augusta.
Does this get us one step closer to the towns that we envy is probably a bad word, but the towns we'd like to emulate, Greenville, Charlotte, Chattanooga, is this a huge step toward that?
It absolutely is. I mean, we got to be Augusta, though. I mean, everybody wants us to be Greenville.
Right.
Next week on the commission, we're going to talk about a ropes course going over the Savannah River. In January, we're going to talk about a water park in South Augusta. That we got the 5th Street Bridge. We just had a food truck with 20,000 people over 3 days, 50 plus food trucks. So there is a buzz and excitement in Augusta that hasn't been in my lifetime. Obviously, we've got the TIA project over the next few years that we got to get that worked out, and that's going to affect some businesses over the next few years. But for people to say that downtown is not safe or there's nothing to do, that's crazy. They're listening to national politics that on the bigger cities, because Augusta is thriving and it's on the best is on the future.
All right, you pretty much just answered this, but I'm going to ask it again just so it can be its own answer, and it is to speak to those people who sit at an outside table in Greenville, in Aiken, in the alley, and say, why can't we be like this?
Yeah.
Are you saying we almost are?
Well, it's coming. I mean, I didn't mention the entertainment district. Commissioner Johnson and I brought it up 5 years ago, and then the pandemic hit. But we're talking about where basically within a certain area you'll be able to have more outdoor dining, food trucks, maybe a food truck alley, or food trucks where people can synergize in that place. All these things that are on the table that are coming that we have to do in Augusta, because at the end of the day, like, we're the cyber capital, and we see what's going on around us. We understand that people are living in Columbia County and North Augusta, maybe because of the education piece, but we know that we're the center and we're the core and the heartbeat. And for us to be thriving and having restaurants and having this arena and having things to do, it's just going to make the whole region better.
I love this town so much, and I do believe great things are to come. I know that everyone has worked so hard to make this arena a reality, so congratulations and all the best as we usher the arena into our landscape. Thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate everyone. There's a lot of different entities that made this happen and made the margin what it was, and thank you to the voters, because there wasn't a plan B. I mean, if this wouldn't have passed, it would have been detrimental for Augusta downtown.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch it come out of the ground. District 7 Commissioner Sean Frantom, thanks to you and everybody on the commission for serving our town, and thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brad.
When we come back, we're covering adult education. Augusta Technical College is a wonderful place to go to get that degree, perhaps, that has been eluding you. It's very simple to sign up and get started. It's also beyond inexpensive. We'll talk about it when the Means Report continues.